In the grand palace of Babylon, my brother Malik and I were nurtured beneath the watchful eyes of our father, King Shahriman, and our gentle mother, Mary, a lady of Indian origin. Our father's commitment to his kingdom often saw him away, commanding his legions and fighting the wars that would safeguard our lands. In those days of youth, Malik, my elder brother, took it upon himself to instruct me in the art of the sword. Under his stern guidance, I learned the strikes, the parries, and the dances of battle. Yet, my heart was ever drawn to a different call. Though a prince by birth, I was a wild spirit at heart, yearning for freedom and adventure. The throne room, filled with its grandeur and heavy with the weight of responsibility, would often stifle me. A restless longing would then lead me to escape its golden clutches, slipping away unnoticed from my tutors, who tirelessly endeavored to impart to me the education befitting my station. But it was outside the palace walls that I truly thrived, mingling with my people, who knew not the prince but the boy who played among them. Kindness was my guide, and I would listen to their stories, their hopes, and their fears. In their company, I was not a prince but one of them, pretending to be all manner of creatures, leaping through the streets, scaling rooftops, and performing acrobatic feats that thrilled the young and old alike. These years of unrestrained joy were more than mere childish games. They were the crucible that shaped my character. I became not just a prince trained in arms, but a man of the people, understanding them and loving them. In the laughter and the jests, in the freedom and the friendships, I found wisdom, compassion, and a connection that no throne room could ever offer. In the year that now echoes through my memory, my father King Shahriman and I embarked on a journey to the land of India. A promise of treachery had come to us, whispered by the vizier of the Maharaja. He sought to betray his master, pledging allegiance to our Persian might, all for the allure of his choice among the Maharaja's abundant treasures. Upon our arrival, the twisted bargain was struck. The vizier's eyes, filled with hunger for power and greed, sealed the pact, and the course of war was set. With the guidance of deceit and our military prowess, we Persians swiftly and decisively conquered the Indian forces. Victory was ours. Desiring to win my father's approval and contribute to our conquest, I undertook a task filled with danger and allure. The treasure vaults of the Maharaja called to me, a labyrinth of riches that held an artifact of legend, the dagger of time. With stealth and skill, I infiltrated the guarded chambers, my heart pounding with excitement and fear. The dagger, gleaming with an otherworldly glow, lay within my grasp, and I seized it, feeling a surge of power and destiny. When I presented this prize to my father, pride swelled within him, and he permitted me to keep the dagger as a souvenir of our triumph. However, this decision ignited the fury of the treacherous vizier, who had coveted the dagger for himself. His eyes, once filled with greed, now burned with rage and envy, a dark storm that promised future strife. After our triumphant endeavors in India, our caravan of Persians, laden with spoils and trophies, made its way to the opulent city of Azad. My father, King Shahriman, in a gesture of magnanimity, chose to present the city's sultan with the most mysterious of our spoils, the hourglass, brimming with the ethereal sands of time. As the hourglass was unveiled, the court watched in rapture. The sultan himself was entranced by the mesmerizing glow emanating from within. The vizier, ever the opportunist with concealed motives, whispered tales of the marvel trapped within the hourglass. He spoke of an unimaginable power, which, he claimed, could only be released by the dagger, my dagger, the very one I had acquired in our conquest. His eyes, cunning and manipulative, hinted at mysteries and wonders, igniting a fire of curiosity within me. Unable to resist the tantalizing allure of revelation, I approached the hourglass, dagger in hand, and with a deep breath, unlocked its secrets. But, to my horror, instead of wonders and treasures, a tempest of sands erupted, consuming all in its wake. The very courtiers who had been applauding moments earlier were transformed into grotesque sand creatures, their humanity erased. The vizier's glee was unmistakable amidst the chaos. The weight of my actions pressed upon me, as the realization of my folly became evident. In seeking to unveil a marvel, I had unwittingly unleashed a curse upon Azad. Desperation gave wings to my feet as I fled, the weight of the dagger of time cold in my grasp. But in this darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged. Farah, the Princess of India, she who was once our captive, now became my sole ally in this madness. Our alliance was born of necessity, a truce forged amidst chaos. Together, we vowed to halt the relentless spread of the sands and undo the calamity I had inadvertently invoked. As we journeyed through the remnants of the once magnificent palace, something shifted between Farah and me. Beyond the shared danger and the battles against the abominations birthed from the sands, an unspoken affection began to bloom. Yet, our positions, our past, and the urgency of our quest rendered us reticent, each unwilling to act upon the feelings that welled within. Enduring countless burials and overcoming insurmountable odds, we finally reached the Tower of Dawn. This towering edifice held the vizier's most coveted possession, the hourglass, within which raged the tempestuous sands of time. As we ascended the Tower of Dawn, a shadow of doubt began to cloud my thoughts. I found myself questioning Farah's true intent. Why, I wondered, would she aid me, a prince from a conquering nation, to reach the zenith of this tower? In that fateful moment of hesitation, my focus wavered, and the ever-watchful vizier seized his opportunity. With the staff of time, a relic imbued with enigmatic power, he cast Farah and me from the tower's pinnacle, condemning us to the suffocating darkness of a tomb. The depth of the fall and the cruel embrace of the crypt below left us dazed but alive. With anger flashing in her eyes, Farah confronted me. Why did you hesitate? Why did you doubt me? Her voice echoed with hurt and betrayal. Trapped amidst the cold stone and silence, the gravity of my misjudgment became clear. In that confined space, surrounded by an aura of impending doom, our defenses crumbled. Vulnerable and raw, we began to truly see and hear each other. Words, once held back by caution and pride, flowed freely, bridging the chasm that had grown between us. As shadows lengthened and hope seemed dim, we found solace in shared confessions and understanding. In that tomb's confining gloom, where the walls seemed to close in like the very hand of fate, my deepest vulnerabilities broke free. I've never been fond of tight spaces, I admitted, a confession that might seem trivial, yet weighed heavily on my spirit in that hour of darkness. Farah, her eyes softened by my admission, reciprocated with a secret of her own, a word whispered into her ear by her mother in the days of her childhood, Kakalukiam, and as that enigmatic word escaped her lips, the tomb itself seemed to respond. A hidden pathway unfurled before us, leading to a spiral staircase that wound its way into the mysterious depths. For a moment, I lost sight of Farah, and my heart sank, filling with a blend of bewilderment and dread. Yet I pressed on, and the pathway led me to an otherworldly bathhouse, a sanctuary tucked away in the bowels of the earth, bathed in a light that felt like an embrace. There, I found Farah. She beckoned me into the water, her eyes locking onto mine with a look that spoke volumes. Setting aside my sword and the dagger of time, I joined her. For that fleeting span, the weight of our quest, the scars of our past, and the looming shadows of uncertainty all melted away, our souls united in a communion that words would fail to capture. When I awoke, I found myself grappling with the boundaries of reality. Had it been a dream, a figment of my fevered imagination? As my eyes darted around, searching for Farah, I found her missing, and the dagger of time was gone as well. In the midst of this turmoil, I managed to clutch the blade of the dagger she wielded. For a moment, our eyes met, hers filled with a tumult of emotion, regret, fear, and perhaps even defiance. In that instant, I hesitated, my disappointment in her actions clear and raw. "Kakalu Kiam," she whispered, echoing her mother's secret word from before. As the word faded, she let go of the dagger's blade. Time seemed to stretch as I reached out to her, but the unforgiving grasp of gravity claimed her. My heart shattered. The very power of the sands I had so often relied upon failed me. No matter how desperately I willed it, I couldn't rewind time to spare her from her tragic fate. The weight of loss and the bitter taste of failure consumed me. With the remnants of the sand creatures vanquished, the air around me grew heavy with an oppressive silence. Drawing a breath, I descended to the level below, dreading what I might find, and there, a sight that cleaved my soul in two. Farah's lifeless form. Each step towards her felt like an eternity. Every echo of my heartbeat a cruel reminder of what I had lost, and my part in this tragedy. The vizier, ever the serpent, saw this as his moment. He whispered promises of immortality, temptations, designed to pull me from the abyss of my despair. But in that instant, clarity cut through the fog of grief. I realized that eternity would be a torment if it meant bearing the weight of my sins forever. Drawing strength from my newfound resolve, I took the dagger of time in hand. Its purpose became clear. I thrust it atop the hourglass, invoking the Grand Rewind. As the mists of the Grand Rewind cleared, I found myself back in familiar surroundings, amongst the tents and banners of my father's war camp. Standing before the imposing gates of India, the dagger of time, still wrapped around my fingers, was an unwavering testament to the reality I had experienced. With my heart racing, I approached Farah's tent, knowing that for her, our shared odyssey was but a story yet untold. Pushing aside the tent flap, I met her gaze, and began to recount the tale of what had transpired. Our adventures, our losses, the treacheries, and most importantly, the bond we had forged. Yet, as fate would have it, the vizier, the snake at the core of our trials, made his entrance. His intentions, now unveiled before the princess, were as clear as day: to end me. The ensuing battle was fierce. Spell after spell, the vizier sought to overpower me. But with each parry and thrust, my determination only grew, and in a climactic moment, I delivered the final blow, ending his reign of terror. Drawn to Farah in the aftermath, I kissed her, momentarily forgetting the rift of realities between us. That intimacy, so familiar to me, was alien to her in this timeline. Realizing my misstep, I activated the dagger's power one final time. Rewinding our shared moment, I entrusted the dagger to her. But as a token of our unfathomable journey, I kept her medallion. With a lingering glance, I departed, leaving behind a princess with a tale too extraordinary to believe, yet with a medallion that whispered of its truth. In my fervor to rewrite destiny and elude death, I unknowingly set the very fabric of time askew. My actions had not gone unnoticed. The guardian of time, the formidable Dahaka, now pursued me with relentless fury. This ancient sentinel, tasked with preserving the sanctity of the timeline, saw in me an anomaly, a blemish that had to be corrected.